Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have from Marvel Legends from the first 10 years series, the Iron Man 3 pack. So of course this is the series where they're going back and making figures from past MCU movies, and I've been very excited about this line. They've been able to do a lot of figures that I've always wanted them to do figures for, and releasing some old ones that never were released, which is specific to this pack, so I'll be discussing that. But before we go into the actual figures, let's quickly just go over the box. It's, 3-pack, so it is a much longer styled box. You have the Iron Man logo right there. All the concept art images are from Iron Man 3, which is cool. And then you have a nice little bio and quick picture of the 3 characters in the assortment. This retails for $70. Originally, if I'm not mistaken, it was going to be a Toys R Us exclusive. Now it's not. Now I don't even think it's an exclusive, but I don't think it's sold at many stores. So the whole thing's a little confusing. But I was able to purchase it from Amazon. I got it on Cyber Monday when they had a little bit of a deal on it for $45, which was nice. So with tax and everything, it came out to a solid $50, which is okay. That's what I was hoping for. Really, the Mandarin was the only must-have for me personally in this assortment. He was the one that I absolutely had to get. I've been watching Mandarin figures on eBay trying to get one for a good price. High 20s would have been good, like $28, $30, somewhere around there is what I was hoping to get the Mandarin for. But I was interested in Pepper Potts, and therefore I certainly entertained the idea of getting the set if it was at a good price, and I found it at a good price, so I decided to get the whole set, which is cool. So let's get started. Well, I'll go through all the figures individually. I'll start off with the one that nobody really cares about, and it's this one, the Marks, what is that, 22? The Marks 22. The Mark 22. This is just the repainted War Machine. It's certainly not the worst repainted War Machine they could have done. However, they've already done the worst, which is annoying, but of course they've done Disco, which came in a 2-pack with War Machine from Iron Man 3, War Machine from Civil War. Basically, they really haven't done any of the Iron Legion figures, and there are so many really cool armors that they could have done. So I've always been disappointed that they've never made any Iron Legion members except for these two, because they're straight up repaints of War Machine. And there's other armors that you could do that are just repaints. Why do they have to just stick with the War Machine ones? God forbid we get one that's a unique design that everybody would love, like Heartbreaker or Star Boost or something cool like that. Instead, we just get the crappy ones. So out of these two, comparing Disco to Hot Rod, Hot Rod's a whole lot better, I will say. But it's less different than War Machine, so that's disappointing as well. I just don't like the color scheme of Disco. He looks really obnoxious. This one is like a cool color scheme. It's like, hey, that's pretty neat, because it's basically War Machine, but with some Hot Rod red and flames that kind of fade into his lower limbs, which is a neat idea and all. It's just for a figure, it's nothing too special. The decals for the flames, though, look sweet. They're really painted nicely, and I do like the way they fade into the black. It's not just it's not like they just cut off at the knee. They just fade into the black or the kind of dark silver through the thighs and then through the biceps, which I think is really cool. The coloring on him, when it comes to the black sections, is the basic War Machine color. I don't think it's any different than the regular War Machine that we got from Age of Ultron. There's no sort of weapon that can be attached to his back, although he does still have the ports for it to be attached. And his articulation I'll briefly cover, I'm sure you guys know it, but he has a ball hinge neck, which you can look up a decent amount. His little shoulder pieces are on hinges. He's got ball hinge shoulders with bicep swivel, double hinge elbows, hinge swivel wrists. He's got a ball-jointed upper torso, which can pivot side to side nicely. It can go forward, not very much, and it can go back a pretty decent amount. He's got ball hinge thighs, thigh swivel, double hinge knees, and then just hinge swiveling ankles. I wish that there was a pivot. Sometimes these War Machine armors, or sometimes War Machine figures, have trouble standing, and that's due to the lack of the pivot. However, I feel like this one, Hot Rod, is the most stable War Machine, or the most stable figure I have of this mold. He stands up really nicely and pretty easily, which is nice, and that's something unique, because I've had a little bit of issues with Disco, Iron Patriot, and Age of Ultron War Machine standing-wise, just because their ankles don't have much movement, so, you're limited to how you can have them stand and have them be stable. So, yeah. I'll move on to Pepper Potts now. Now, Pepper Potts was the one that was like, I'll take it or leave it, it would be cool to have, but I don't need it, essentially. That's how I looked at this figure. But I have to say, I am very impressed with the final product here. Sorry, just arranging the background. But this is a nice figure, really surprisingly. It's nice to get a Pepper Potts figure. She's obviously a big part of the MCU, but she's not very flashy. She's not flashy enough for a toy. However, there is one sequence where she does do a bit of fighting, and therefore that's the one that they've chosen to kind of capture here. Face sculpt-wise, pretty solid. Like, for Marvel Legends, for a 6-inch figure, this is a solid head sculpt. It really is. Like, I'm impressed with the likeness to Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I think that it does definitely resemble her. It's not perfect at all, but it's not bad. And, you know, I've seen Hot Toys struggle with her look, so to get it, you know, pretty nicely on this rendition is really awesome. I think that it's really nice. It's well painted. I like the kind of blush on the cheeks, and the eyes are extremely straight and well painted. Her kind of sports bra section here is painted all right. It has like some fade of black onto her skin there at the top, but it's okay. Wish that the black was painted around the entire top of the torso too. That's one issue, but overall I think it's a pretty solid paint job. Going throughout the rest of the body, as you can see, the pants are kind of sculpted outwards, so that they're popping out a bit from the skin, which is nice, gives it some extra texture, and definitely isn't just painted, so it definitely looks a lot better. The paint on there, from the skin to the pants, is better than up here, but it's not perfect, but it is better, definitely. And then they do have some like light detail at the torso section to kind of give an illusion of kind of, I wouldn't say abs, but kind of, you know, that like kind of fit proportions, which I think looks good. You do have some lines that go from the pants that kind of run down the leg to the knees, and then they're basically just skin tight type of pants there. They go down to bare feet. The bare feet look pretty decent. Again, wish that the part right here was actually sculpted as well, not just painted, because it is just painted there. That should, of course, be tighter on the legs than necessarily the waist section, but still, I would have liked to see a little bit of a difference there. That would have been nice. She does come with just regular arms, both two arms. Right here is the other one. They're both fists, which I like a lot. You know, typically we wouldn't get like just fist hands, but I think that that's perfect, especially for the scene that this is supposed to be replicating when she's got the extremis serum running through her. So I do like the fact that she comes with two bare arms, but then she also comes with an interchangeable right arm that has the Iron Man armor arm, you know, attached to it. I believe she took this from the Mark 9, if I'm not mistaken. That's the armor that she destroys and takes the arm from. But overall, I think that it does look very cool. I love the kind of mechanical pieces that are almost like they're just the wires that are kind of hanging off her arm that, you know, from the that used to attach to the shoulder that is now gone. So I think it looks really cool. And she does come with a blast effect piece, which can be plugged in right here. Overall, it's good. My only issue with this is that the articulation on it is a swivel at the bicep. She has a double hinge at the elbow, which is nice, and then no wrist articulation, which is definitely a big shame. Because of the no wrist, she really can't do this very nicely. She's got to hold her arm like up, like she's like waving high and then shooting forward, which is definitely a shame. She can't be like the total side, because then she'll be shooting down, which is really annoying. So wish that they sculpted this arm up even further, or they just didn't include this piece and just made it like a fist or something. So overall, I do really like the Iron Man arm though with her. I think that it really helps capture the scene, specifically that this version of Pepper Potts is coming from, so I do think that is pretty cool. And overall, I think the figure is just really nice in general. And then we get to the one that I was most looking forward to, and that's the Mandarin. You know, played by Ben Kingsley, of course. Was very disappointed in the Mandarin in the actual film. I was really looking forward to this character, and obviously, due to how they treat Trevor here, really disappointing. But overall, I still wanted a figure. This was a figure that was shown back in 2013 that they were going to make a Mandarin figure. I was very excited, and it never came out. So it's finally coming out now, and I've, you know, gone back and looked at the images that were shown at the convention when that figure was originally shown, and it is the same sculpt. It's the exact same sculpt, which could worry you. It worried me because I'm like, well, you know, this came out in 2000, or this was designed in 2013. It's 2018. We've definitely stepped it up as far as designs concerned. However, it is painted in the 2018 scheme. The paint level has gone way up from the prototype that they showed back in 2013. So there's a huge difference paint-wise, but sculpt-wise, it is the 2013 sculpt. And I have to say, it's a really nice sculpt. They did a good job. Face sculpt, I think, is really nice, absolutely resembling Ben Kingsley here in his portrayal of the Mandarin. I think that it definitely looks cool. You can definitely see the likeness there. They've captured his nose, which is one of the most important aspects of Ben Kingsley with sculpting wise. But I think it does look really nice. I do like the kind of short hair there, and then it goes to the bun in the back. My issue is, I guess it's because of the joint, of course, but it's a shame that there's no Captain America tattoo on the back of his neck. I would have actually preferred that he didn't have such a big hinge, and instead just they cut it off, you know, closer up here, and therefore gave you the what is it, the tattoo. To be honest, I'd be okay without a hinge at all. Because of his beard, he really can't look down, and then he can look up. He can look up a ton, but it's just like, you know, I don't really know what I'd need the Mandarin to look up so much for. That's really for dynamic poses that are like hunched forward and then have him look up, but he doesn't even have an ab crunch. So personally, I'd sacrifice the whole neck hinge just for that tattoo. I think it would have been really cool. But then the costume is really nice. Love this kind of dark metallic green. I think it looks really cool. And then they do actually have the sculpting of kind of the flower design throughout the cloak here, which is just awesome. Really cool. And you do have the little detail work on the edges of the hoodie as well, which is really cool. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. His arms are very nice. They have the little detailing as well. From what I remember from my Hot Toys figure is that these little circles should be gold as well, though. So that's one thing that hasn't been painted, which is a shame, but it's nothing too extreme. But they do like the gold outlining at the edge there on the sleeve. I think that does look nice. His hands are interesting. They're obviously meant to be holding something. And that's because when this figure was shown, originally he came with a couple samurai swords, like really desperately trying to give us what we kind of expected from the Mandarin, but never got from the actual movie, but give it into toy form, which is kind of funny. But yeah, he doesn't come with any accessories, this version, which I don't mind. I'm not disappointed that we're lacking on the swords. And usually, if they don't come with an accessory, I wouldn't be a fan of these type of hand sculpts. But I think they're good, because they can, although they're meant to be like holding something, they can kind of work for like just kind of general expressiveness, and have him talking, because that's really what this character is. You know, he gives speeches, essentially. So I think that the hands kind of represent that type of look pretty nicely. I do like this little, like, I don't know what you call this, but this little kind of belt piece is really cool. Like, the paint, looking at the old version comparing to this one, the paint makes a huge difference, because the old version had a much brighter color scheme going on, not as much detail paint-wise, and it just looks ridiculous, while this one looks very naturalistic and much better, and it's all just due to the paint, because the sculpt is the same. The pants look really nice. I do like the kind of baggy proportions. They've got that kind of camouflage type of design, and he's got those kind of military boots, which look pretty good. His articulation is pretty decent. I showed you the neck already. He has a ball hinge ball hinge shoulder, hinge swivel elbow. He's just got swivel wrist, which, you know, I don't mind, just due to the fact that, you know, this is an odd sculpt, and he's got a lot of clothing or plastic around his hand, so he really can't do much. So it is just a swivel, and I'm fine with that. No ab crunch. I would have liked an ab crunch. You know, I just don't see a reason not to have an ab crunch. But, you know, that would have been cool, but I'm okay with him not having it. Again, this character doesn't need a ton of posability, because he doesn't, like, fight or anything. He's got a swivel at the waist, ball jointed hips with a thigh swivel, double hinge knees, and then he's got hinge pivoting ankles, which works pretty nicely. So overall, I think this is a fantastic figure. I really don't have any problems with it for the most part. I mean, I want the Captain America tattoo on the back of his neck. Maybe I like some like mud detailing on his boots. But overall, it's a fantastic figure. I think that the head sculpt is really great and really shines. And that's probably the most important thing. The head sculpt and then the clothing are the most important things. And those are the things that they nailed with the Mandarin figure. So overall, I think that this is a really nice pack, to be honest. Two figures in it I think are fantastic. I have like no issues with the Mandarin or Pepper Potts. I think that they're both really fantastic and really great figures. Hot Rod is like, I mean, he's well painted for what he is, but just what he is isn't anything special. He's a sculpt that we've had a million times before. He's not an armor that's memorable in the movie at all, really. We do see him, but he's not memorable at all. I would have much preferred it to be a different armor, like, even if they just did like one of the Mark 9s or Mark 10, you know, that are very similar to like the Mark 7, but with some different arms and stuff. That would be more interesting than this, personally, for me. But what I would have liked the most, of course, is a new sculpt and had them do Heartbreaker or Star Boost or Gamma, you know, something like that. Even the Silver Centurion, that's not a terribly difficult one to do, I think. Bones. I mean, there's just a million cool armors. You know, I don't need them to do Igor for this pack. That would be going over the top. But one of the regular armors that's like the normal size, that's just a new sculpt, and that's really visually interesting, would have been fantastic, and I would have been all over it. So I'm disappointed that they copped out when it comes to the Iron Man armor. But the Mandarin and the Pepper Potts figure are really great figures with surprisingly good head sculpts, and just overall really nicely done in general. So there you go. That's my thoughts on this Marvel Legends, the first 10 years series. We have the Mark 22 Hot Rod, we have Pepper Potts, and we have the Mandarin. Let me know what you guys think of this set, and thanks so much for watching.